Hi, I'm Imogen Lamport from Inside Out Style.
And I'm Jill Chivers from shopyourwardrobe.com.
Now, we were talking about, how many of the same sort of garment you need in your wardrobe. Because it's one of those things that I come across wardrobes and I'll see, 20 pairs of black pants. And I think, how many black pants can you possibly wear?
Yes.
So is 20 pairs of something too much of the same garment or essentially the same garment? Or is one and then you don't need any more? Like, do you want one and no more? Or is there a number that you can have without it actually being repetitive?
Or being a problem. And I think this is a very nuanced topic, this idea of multiples. At one end, there's the minimalist movement of once you have one item in a category, black boots, black pants, green tops, whatever it is, then you don't need any more. And the only reason you would need more is if you're wearing that same item multiple times in a week and you couldn't wash them, etc. The other end is the collector mentality, which is the more the better. I love something, so if I really love scarlet silk tops, then every time I see one I should buy one and I should collect as many of those as I can. And I do think that there is a pendulum and there is a continuum, and I think there are some really interesting elements, and it's not as simple as one or the other. And we were talking about some of those nuances earlier that we wanted to share with you, and we want to hear what you think as well.
So I definitely think that there is a limit to how many you need of the same garment. And I think some of those nuances are things like, how similar are they really? Now, you may wear heels and you may wear flats, so you may need black pants, that are for heels and black pants that are hemmed for flats. They're not the same. You may want, a bootleg jean, a skinny leg jean, a wide leg jean, a dark wash, a light wash.
A whitewash.
So just because they're jeans doesn't mean they're all exactly the same. They are different. And so it's that sort of thing where you need to think about, well, are they really different? Or is it just exactly the same garment, maybe in a couple of colours? Because quite often I find where it's exactly the same. Now, and I can tell you I own the same tops in multiple colours, but they're colours that suit me. Is often people just buy every colour, even the colours don't suit them.
Just because it's there versus some discerning process of, there are 12 colours, 3 really look great on me, I'll buy those 3.
Because I'll often find what happens is they'll wear one colour and the other ones never get worn. And that's also too that people often feel sometimes that if they found something that works, they have to get multiples of it. Because they don't know maybe enough about themselves to work out what are the other things that work for them.
So it's indiscriminating. It's just purchasing multiples without thinking about wearability and what's going to suit and what lifestyle factors come into play. So they're important factors as well.
So I think, there's many other, you've got some nuances where you go, well, I've got 4 leopard print dresses.
4 leopard print wrap dresses, actually. And for me, that they all are different in some way, and they do represent a collection. And for some people, they would look at that from a distance different to mine and see that they're all the same. They would look the same. To me, there are distinguishing features and other factors that make them seem and feel different. My experience of wearing them is different. And the other assumption that seems to be in play when you buy multiples is that the first one is the high quality one and everything else is of a poorer quality. And that assumption is sometimes true, but in many occasions, and when it comes to my mini collection of wrap dresses, leopard print dresses, it's not true because they're all of equal quality and I wear them. And that's the other factor that we were talking about, is not whether they can be worn, but whether they are worn. Out of 25 pairs of black pants that Imogen was sharing as an example, they all could be worn, but the woman wasn't wearing them all. She was wearing 5 or however many it was. So the other 20 were wasted, even though, they could have been worn. That's important.
And I think too, it depends too on when people are shopping. So how do you end up with 25 black pants or whatever it might be? And often this is something we need to be aware of, and it's the conscious shopping rather than unconscious shopping where you need to go, well, do I have something like it already?
Yes.
Is it going to add something to my wardrobe, or is it just a replica of what I already have? Now, it can be a replica if it's something that, say, you're already wearing, but it's almost worn out. Maybe you need to find a replica, but then let the other one go. And then, does it suit my lifestyle? Does it suit where I live? Does it suit, have I got something like it already? Or is it going to bring something new? And I was talking to Jill about, I had one client who said I've got no green tops. And we went through her wardrobe. I found 20 green tops.
Not 20 green tops.
And it was quite funny because we actually counted them up at the end. Was
she shocked?
She was shocked.
Yeah.
And, well, part of the problem was her wardrobe wasn't organised.
Yes, that's an important point.
And so she didn't know what she had. But she had this thought that she needed a green top. So every time she's out, her reticular activating system would be looking for those green tops. And so when she saw one, she bought one. And when we actually put it together, and this is why I like to organise a wardrobe where you have colours together, you start to see if you become too colour dominant, or you go, I've got white shirts.
Yes.
I don't need more white shirts, or I don't need more of that, because I can see I've actually got a lot of them. Because sometimes we think, oh, well, I haven't got that. And I can't tell you how many times, you know, I've opened a drawer and we've pulled something out and like, oh, completely forgot I had that.
Yes, which is where wardrobe organisation is such a key part of the picture for me in conscious shopping, and for you just in living a good life and having a working wardrobe, is you have to see what you've got. You cannot wear stuff you can't see or don't access.
Yes, and you can't create outfits and think about doing different things if you can't see what you've got.
And to me, the trick there is if you look in the stores, sure, some stores will organise, they call them stories, I believe, but in the main, they organise by category and by colour. And they do that for a reason. If you're going to shop your wardrobe, then emulating how the shops organise their stuff, there's some good value in taking what's useful from that and applying it to your own wardrobe.
So when you're thinking about, when you look in your wardrobe and you've got multiples of the same item, the first thing you want to think about it is, are they actually different enough from each other?
Yeah, and the important point there, we were talking about this before with your boot collection and my leopard print wrap collection, is you get to choose how different they are. That just because I don't think something's different enough is not adequate enough for you to then say, oh, I've got all these multiples.
Yes. So it's the, you know, how different are they to you? Do you wear them?
Yes.
Because there's no point in hanging on to, you know, like, because we'll often have maybe one thing that we wear a lot of, and this is where, yes, the multiples are the second best, where you may as well let them go because you don't wear them anyway.
Yes.
And will they actually fulfill a need?
Yes.
Will they work for you? And if you have a uniform, sometimes multiples are part of that.
And they can represent variety. I know for me, we were talking in an earlier video about how we dress in the day, and that a lot of my clothing looks very similar. And I think of my wardrobe, now we've been having these conversations, having a depth to it, that there's, you know, a number of leopard print jackets, but to me they represent variety, whereas for you that would not be what it represented. It would represent repetition.
Yes. So it's, you know, there's so many kind of levels and things you want to think about when you're looking at the, do I need only one? Because the minimalist movement is really quite big, and you want to think about it before you jump on the bandwagon and just, you know, get rid of everything in your wardrobe.
Yeah. And
if that's actually going to work for you or not.
Sorry for interrupting. I'm not sure that I've completely worked this one out, because being an over shopper in years past, there is a tendency to justify and explain and rationalise multiple purchases, and I'm aware of that, and I don't want to slip into old unconscious habits and just collect things because I've decided that's my thing. That said, I do believe that we collect for a reason. I think it's a human tendency, and there can be things that we treasure that give us joy just owning them. And so I think this is a nuanced and multifaceted issue, and I'm still thinking about it, and we're talking about it, and I'm really interested in what you think and what you feel about this issue.
Yeah, because absolutely, for some people, one is enough.
Yeah. But
not for everybody. So, you know, it is something to think about. Like, and when you're looking at your wardrobe, it's what are the items that bring you the greatest value, that bring you value, and if there's something's in there and it's not getting worn, you know, maybe have a chat with yourself and see if you can work out why you don't wear it. And often it's, you need to put it on because maybe it's just not quite comfortable, it doesn't fit quite right. You know, there's all those sorts of elements. That there's another one that you just prefer over that. And sometimes, though, is we discover something and it's not being worn, and it's, as soon as we put it on, we go, oh, well, why was that? Maybe because I just was overlooking it. Yeah,
exactly. And these are the things that bring so much depth to dressing and style. It isn't just skin deep. There is a lot to think about and feel about and experience for yourself.